Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this live Bengals training camp report. It is brought to you by Medical Mutual, the official health insurer of the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm Dan Hoard, along with former Bengals offensive lineman and Ring of Honor nominee Dave Lapham. And we've got a special guest on this report as we are joined by Bengals Director of Player Personnel, Duke Tobin. Duke, thanks for coming on with us.
You bet, guys. Anytime.
All right, we are going to be looking at some practice footage from over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And since we can see number 28, Joe Mixon, on the screen right there, let's start with Joe. This will be his fifth season in Cincinnati. He's coming back from the foot injury that limited him to 6 games last season. Duke, does he look as fit and explosive as he has at any point in his Cincinnati tenure?
He does. The one thing you can count on Joe is to come in shape, ready to go, and he certainly did that. He's got himself healthy. It's going to be important for him to stay healthy for our football team. He brings a lot of energy when he's on the field, and brings a lot of energy to practice, and those are things that our team needs. And he can stay on the field for any down. He's got receiving skills. He's got the size to get the tough yards, and he's got the speed to get the edge. So we're looking for big things from Joe, and he's had a good camp so far.
Yeah, when I look at Joe as a former lineman, I'm like, boy, if you got a running back that can make people miss or run them over, and in either case run away from them, I mean, that's pretty good cocktail right there. You like to have that. I mean, that's pretty easy to block for, and Joe checks all those boxes. I think the other thing too, Duke, I mean, blitz pickup's a big deal, and Joe's very willing in that area, isn't he?
Yeah, and any back as they get along in their career kind of take on that as being one of the main elements. I think sometimes young backs coming from college aren't quite as far along in that area, and then as they get seasoned in the NFL, they really come on. Joe's certainly got all the physical traits to be a very good pass protector, and we've got other guys that can do it too. But he's more than willing, and if he's going to be on the field, that's going to be a component of what he has to do.
All right, now we're seeing some wide receivers. We saw your number 1 draft pick wearing the number 1 moments ago, and there he is again, Jamar Chase, coming off one of the best seasons for a wide receiver in college football history, but that was 2 years ago at LSU. He opted out last year. Do you see a guy, Duke, that's kind of shaking off the rust as he comes back and adjusts to life in the NFL?
Sure. I think any rookie, is going to have a transition. Without exception, there's a transition, and certainly when you take a year off, there'll be a transition. But in the little that we've seen, we've only had a handful of full padded practices, and what we see is what we want to see. We see a physical guy, a guy that has strong hands, a guy that can extend the field vertically, and then come in and out of cuts. So as he's learning our offense and getting more comfortable with all the things that we want him to do, that Zach and Joe want him to do, I think this preseason will be big for him, and I think we'll be excited about what he's doing.
T. Higgins came back in unbelievable shape. I mean, he reworked his body. Tyler Boyd gives you everything he's going to give you, but a couple of T's on the lower end fighting for those couple of roster spots down the stretch, the 2 Trents, Taylor and Irwin. I mean, there are T's all over that wide receiver position, first name. But those 2 guys, it's going to be a battle. And Darren Simmons' special teams is going to be a key factor in who you keep the wide receiver position overall, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got battles going on everywhere, and it's really early because we haven't played any live football. And,
right.
The first couple of weeks of practice, training camp isn't as long as it used to be. There used to be time to kind of develop pad conditioning, and you really don't get that anymore. And so we're still in that stage where guys are getting used to carrying their pads again. Guys are getting used to the practice tempo. Guys are getting used to contact in all the different areas. And at wide receiver, we've got a good battle going on. And I'll tell you who else came back in great shape and really looks good is Auden Tate. So we feel good about the group. Like any group, we need it to stay healthy. We've had our share of injuries over the years, but hopefully that group will stay up and going, and all the other groups will stay up and going.
All right, let's talk about Joe Burrow. It's been a little bit more than 8 months since his knee surgery. He's got about a month left to prepare for the season opener against the Vikings. Seems to be moving around extremely well. Assess his progress so far.
He's Joe Burrow. He's got a very high standard for himself, and that's what makes him a really elite player. And so as he works through it, he's going to be his own worst critic as we go. But the leadership and what we see is all positive. And I think the team feeds off him, and you can see there's confidence from the players around him, which is key to playing quarterback. And really impressed with what he's done so far. That's a tough thing, getting over an injury like that. He's done it as smoothly as anybody can do it. And I think we expected that. That's just because that's who Joe Burrow is.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Burrow, it's like, well, he's not Superman. He's not a superhero, but he's damn close. I mean, what he's doing. He's still in the final stages of rehab. I mean, he's doing rehab work, more than a day a week here. He's still in that process, the final stages of getting that knee back 100% and then doing everything else he's doing. It's remarkable. I mean, the guy, I don't know how he has enough hours in the day because nobody preps harder than he does, Duke. And I mean, you in what you do as a scout and running the personnel and everything you do with the organization and coaches, trust smart players, right? And this guy is as smart as any.
You got to be smart, and you got to be motivated, and you got to love the competition of the game to really maximize yourself in this league. And he's got all those things in spades.
Let's turn to the defense. We are looking at Mike Hilton, one of the cornerbacks that you signed as a free agent this past offseason. To my eyes, Duke, and I don't claim to be an expert, the position group that's impressed me the most so far in training camp has been the defensive backs. Do you agree?
Well, I agree with one thing, Dan. You are an expert, so never sell yourself short. I agree. The defense as a whole has looked confident. It's playing as a team right now, at least in practice. They're going to have to go out and show it that they can handle the rigors of an actual game, and I feel that's coming. Really impressed with Mike and his leadership role that he's taken on the team. Another guy that you can tell football is everything to him, and he has a very high standard for himself, and brings others along with him, which is great. And we've been very impressed with what we've seen so far.
Well, I agree. I think Mike Hilton, guys gravitate toward him. He's played on some great defensive football teams. He's knows what it's supposed to look like, and all these guys in the secondary, they're veterans, and they've played a lot of snaps and all the route recognition and everything. And to me, they're bringing like a controlled energy because they're so disciplined. You don't see any assignment errors. You don't see, any busts out there, or very few if there are any. And I think that gets to be a contagious thing. And then they communicate so well. I mean, you can never talk enough. And boy, all they're doing back there is communicating with each other at this early stage. That's really impressive.
Yeah. The unit as a whole, one, it's healthy. We've got most of our main players up and going. We seem to be able to provide a little rush, which helps the DBs, and then we're tighter in coverage, which makes it harder on the offenses. And so we'll see how that transitions here in the preseason.
You've spent a lot of money in free agency on defense, particularly defensive line and in the secondary. We're going to get to the linebackers here next. That's a young group that you've built up through the draft. How are they doing in this camp?
So far, so good. But you can look at linebackers and running backs in practices like this until you're blue in the face, and you're not going to know until they have to tackle and until they have to make somebody miss, and until they have to break a tackle, until they have to bring somebody down, until they have to insert themselves in the line of scrimmage at the right time at the right place. So. We'll see how the preseason goes, but really impressed with the cohesiveness of that group and the leadership that Logan is supplying to that group, and I think we got a lot of young talent there, and I think the confidence will build as we go through the preseason here.
Yeah, I mean, most of the other position groups, it was addressed by free agency and a little bit by the draft, obviously. But the linebacker group, it's pretty much draft and develop, homegrown. And that position group, I see them taking a huge step, even without any outside additions as such in terms of free agency, because another year in the system, Logan's sharp as a tack, man. He's going to be calling the signals and everything. And I'm really impressed with Pratt as well. I think Wilson and Pratt, the raw materials, the size speed ratios as such or whatever, those guys are pretty damn good.
Yeah, we're excited about them, and we're excited about some of the other guys too that have come in and shown that it's not too big for them at this stage, and they're going to get a lot of work. And so I'm excited to see them here the next few weeks.
You've got the preseason opener coming up on Saturday night at Tampa Bay. How much would you like to see your frontline defensive players play?
Well, that's not up to me. I want to hit the starting point full strength, and so I think that's the overriding thing. So get enough to where you feel good about where they are and get them out. But we'll see how the game flows and how the coaches decide. If they need to see more, they'll see more. But that's not something that resides in this office. That'll be a decision that Zach and his staff will make.
Duke, traditionally over the years, when a young player, a rookie or second year or third year player, even when they're starting to advance in their careers, offensive or defensive side of the ball, where is it normally easier for players to transition the quickest, do you think?
I think it's based on the individual, really. I think the biggest transition universally is on the line of scrimmages, just because of the physicality that the NFL brings and the size. And you're talking about 21-year-old guys going up against 30-year-old seasoned vets. And so that's probably the biggest physical hurdle that they have to overcome. I think sometimes you can get running backs and wideouts and maybe DBs to get up to speed quicker, just because the game's not quite as different from the college game. But in the line of scrimmage, it's not for the faint of heart. And so when you come in from a heavy passing offense in college, and suddenly you're blocking really seasoned, big, strong defensive linemen, or trying to get off seasoned, strong NFL offensive linemen, it's a transition, and so that's probably the biggest transition that our game offers.
And now we are seeing number 55 linebacker Logan Wilson in his second season out of Wyoming. He'll be the guy that has the green dot on his helmet this year, communicating with defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo. What did you see out of him that made the organization think that he was ready to take on this big leadership role?
Well, you never know until they get the chance to do it. And what we see in him is the raw materials to really make that transition. He's got a passion for the game. He's developing leadership traits for the group. He's certainly got the intelligence, and he's a guy that can stay on the field for every down. He can stay on the field in passing downs. He can insert himself, and he can rush. And so you've got a guy that has the talent to be on the field full time, and the mental capacity to communicate and to lead. And so, we've got high hopes for him, but he's going to have to show that he can do it, and I think he will.
In this era of position versatility, Logan Wilson being a good example, starts his football career on the back end, as a defensive back. I mean, he punted, kicked, did everything in high school. I mean, he's a great athlete, probably the best athlete in his high school, but a guy that has played at another level of the defense, another whole responsibilities, vision, things you have to see, things you have to recognize, and maybe like an offensive tackle that was once a tight end, and then of course you have to have position versatility in the interior. But how big a deal is that, or is that a big plus when you're in the evaluation process of players and they've played all these different positions and different levels of offense or defense positionally?
Oh, I think it's a component of it for sure. It worked out pretty good for Brian Urlacher. I know that. And,
Yeah.
Hubbard's played off the ball in his past, and Pratt's played off the ball in his past. So it's a benefit. It's not a necessity, but it's a benefit. Ultimately, we want them to master the position that they're playing for us. And whatever they bring to the table to help do that, I think are all positives.
I no longer heard Duke at the tail end of his answer. Lap, I'm not sure if you can hear me or if Duke can hear me, but perhaps you two guys can pick it up and run with it.
I can hear you, Dan. I didn't hear the tail end of Duke's answer either. So I'm not sure what's going. Is Duke? You still?
Yeah,
You able to hear us, Duke?
yeah. Can
Okay,
you guys hear me now?
can
Now
hear
we
you
can.
now.
All right,
Okay.
so we're
Yes,
looking
sir.
at defense. We're looking at defensive line drills right now. It's a position group that appears to be significantly upgraded. You rewarded Sam Hubbard, whom we see on the screen right now, with a 4-year contract extension. How important was it to upgrade that unit on the team?
Well, upgrade and keep healthy, and Sam is a guy that stays on the fields to this point, and so that's a real positive. And I mean, Sam's a very important part of what we're going to do on defense. He's a good leader for us in that group and as a whole, and he's the type of guy you want to reward. He came in, he earned it, he's produced. And he's a staple for us, and so it felt really good when that got done, and we can count on him being a part of our team, and he's a big part of our team. And the group has to stay healthy. It's very difficult when you're down to your number 5, number 6, number 7 throughout the course of a year, whether it's a defensive tackle or defensive end or whatever. You've got to have a full wave of guys coming in there, and I feel good where it is right now, and we need to hit the starting line full strength. And I've been impressed with the unit as a whole and how they get pressure and how they get up the field and how they hold blocks. So it's been good to this point. I'm looking forward to seeing them in the preseason.
Yeah, when you look at the roster overall, the depth of the roster last year was just catastrophic from an injury standpoint. And then there was COVID issues, and a guy that's impressed me is Tupou. I mean, he opted out last year, and this dude came back in football shape and in great shape, and he's tough to move inside now. I mean, he's stout, and it looks like DJ Reader is back, and he's a force inside. So Duke, it looks like you got the mass inside, you get the big boys inside, you got guys coming off the edge, setting an edge in the running game, can pressure the passer on the edge and push the pocket. I mean, the defensive line is like night and day different looking from what you had to deal with last year because of the injury and COVID and all those issues.
Yeah, impressed with the way Josh came back. We had a couple guys opt out last year. Both of them came back looking good, in shape, and that tells me that they're motivated to play football, and so that's a very good thing. And we'll have Larry Ogunjobi back on the field today, and that'll be a benefit to us. And so again, it's about getting to the starting line full speed and healthy, and give Minnesota all they can handle.
Ogunjobi, that's something of breaking news. He was activated this morning and cleared for practice. What are you hoping he can contribute to the mix?
Larry's a guy that can play on every down inside. He's got some pass rush to him. He's stout against the run. He can indent the line of scrimmage, and he can chase things to the sideline. So he's a guy that we think at that 3-tech position will really benefit him. And he's got to get up and go and get in shape and do all the things that that a guy that's a couple weeks behind has to do, but he's got time to get ready to go.
What about some of the young guys in the draft, Sample, Osai, guys like that you brought into the mix here on the edge? What are they showing you? And Sample can play a little bit inside. It gives you that versatility. Are they showing you something, Duke?
We've seen a real progression, particularly in Osai, getting more comfort in what we're doing and maybe getting his legs under him a little bit as we go. Sample's been a little bit delayed in getting going, but he's up and going now, and we see some interior pass rush and strength on the edge. So those guys are working along well, and I anticipate them providing us with good depth and good reps throughout the course of the season.
Now we're seeing the offensive line. Number 71 is Riley Reef. What does he mean to that unit, both on the field and in the meeting room?
Yeah, like you said, Dan, has really brought a professional attitude, and he's an example setter for the group, which is good. Been impressed with the way that he's performed in practice. Had a little bit of a minor issue with his ankle, but he's back and going. He's a guy that can elevate the whole group, and I think he's showing that on and off the field, and so we're happy to have him, and he's been a good addition for us.
Yeah, he's the guy, he's the lead dog, and then the rest of them just line up as puppies and follow him around, it seems like, and that's the way it should be. And in terms of all these young guys, they're right on his hip, just trying to absorb as much information that they can from Riley Reef, and he's still. I mean, he loves football, man. You can tell that football is his life. There's no question about it. And when a guy at that age, and really, you look at it, and I think 9 or 10, the offensive linemen are in their third year of NFL experience or less. So to have a guy like Riley Reef that can show them what it's supposed to. Here's how you train. Here's how you take care of your body. Here's how you study. I mean, all those things are important, aren't they, Duke?
They really are, and when you have a guy that's done it for as long as he has at the level he's done it, I think you get that initial respect, and you need that. And it's just not somebody saying something; he's showing it too. And I think the young guys need that. And so I've been impressed with that, and I think he's helped a lot of the young guys with the transition. The transition is ongoing. Like I said, that area is probably the most difficult area. You got to come in, you got to figure it out, you got to play as one. And when you're making a transition from one position to another that you haven't played, sometimes that can take a while, and it's good to have that veteran helping you.
We saw Jackson Carman, number 79, moments ago. What does he need to do between now and September 12th to put himself in the mix to be a starting guard?
Well, we'll see how he plays this preseason. He's going to get a lot of work, and he's a guy making a transition, playing a totally new position for him. And in the NFL, that can take some time. He's got to get himself in peak shape, which I think he's working his way into that. And what we see are the traits that we like in him. He's big, he's powerful, he's athletic. He can move people when he comes off, and he's still learning the nuances of playing inside. And so it'll be fun to see him get to go against some other guys and get to go into some live football, and looking forward to seeing him play as we go.
Lap, I think you can squeeze in one final question.
Okay, I guess real quickly, Duke, Deontay Smith, another young lineman, playing tackle and guard. When a young guy is coming into the league, how difficult is the decision to say, just learn one position, stay there, or, hey, we want you to learn a bunch of them? Does it just depend on the guy and his intelligence?
It does, and it depends on your team, too, to some degree. And we're looking for the best five, and we're giving everybody a chance to be in that mix of the best five. And he had a couple really good days when we gave him an opportunity inside. The thing with Deontay is we didn't know what he was going to weigh when he came in. He played at a lightweight last year. This season, he's really came in ready to go and ready to absorb the rigors of NFL. He looks the part, and then we gave him an opportunity, and he took to it like a duck to water. We'll see how he does. It's very early on. These are young guys, and they're learning, and they're going to learn some hard lessons. But we've got hope for all the young guys. All three of the rookies that we've drafted have shown the traits that we want to see. And they've got the preseason to figure it out. And we'll see how they do.
Beginning Saturday night in Tampa Bay. Duke, we know you're busy. We appreciate your time this morning. Thanks so much.
You bet, guys. Good seeing you.
You're the man, Duke.
All right, for Duke Tobin and Dave Lapham, I'm Dan Hoard. Thanks for checking out this training camp report presented by Medical Mutual, the official health insurer of the Cincinnati Bengals. So long, everybody.